So let's take a little trip back 2.5 years or so to November of 2022. In case you're wondering, the number one song at the time was Antihero by Taylor Swift. No big surprise there, Taylor Swift song. Number one movie was Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The number one TV show was The Crown, season 5 on Netflix. I'm not smart enough for The Crown. Uh, it seemed like a smart show, but I couldn't keep up with it. So I gave up with it. But something else happened in November of 2022. On November 30th, ChatGPT made its debut to the world. And do you remember the first time you saw ChatGPT? I do. And honestly, I wasn't very impressed. But it wasn't ChatGPT's fault. It was my fault because I didn't really know how to use it. I just used it like a Google search. I just asked it a question and it gave me the answer. I'm like, oh, whoopee. But then I started seeing people talk about it online. I started seeing videos of what it could do. And then I went back and really played with it and said, wow, this is an amazing tool. ChatGPT is just one generative AI tool, of course. There's lots of them, but that's kind of the big game changer in the world. So I want to ask you all where you are on your AI journey. Personally, now there's your districts, there's your associations, but also your own personal journey. This is a picture that ChatGPT made for me. It's supposed to be a friendly robot pointing to a winding path. It took a few attempts to get there, but that's what we got. So imagine that this is your AI journey, and basically there's 7 steps along the way. So if you're at the trailhead, you're just starting out, curiosity, awareness, like you're just trying to figure out what this is. The first steps, you're starting to play around with things, experimenting with different tools, things like that. Then the crossroads, that skepticism, that caution comes in, like, is this good? Are there dangers? Is it safe to use? Then there's the vista point where you start to see all the possibilities, like, wow, look at the things I could do with this for my work, for my personal life, things like that. And then you're kind of cruising. I would say this is the nice part of if you're climbing this path here. AI is a natural part of your work in life. You use it all the time. You don't even really think about it. You just use it all the time now. Then there's the steep climb where you really start to challenge yourself in what you're doing. So it's kind of deep learning, application, seeing beyond the basics. What can I really do? Finally, you're at the summit, which is where you're doing innovation and leadership. You're really taking these ideas and doing something big with them, and you're also sort of leading the way. So if you could in the chat, just tell us where you think you are. I know sometimes it's hard to say I'm here. Maybe you're kind of feel like you're in between or a mix of things. I would say I'm probably in the cruise area. I do some leadership stuff, but I don't know that I'm doing innovation really. I'll hopefully get there, but I'd say I'm probably in the cruise level right now. It's hard to keep up with this sometimes. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Combo the first 3, cruising, Lake Crossroads, Early Vista, cruise and steep climb, Crossroads. All right, ooh, steep climb, Mary, nice. Just getting up there. Nobody's bold enough to say they're at the summit yet, but that's okay. Oh, there you go.
Cynthia did.
Nice. Good job. You're ahead of me, Cynthia, and we're going to hear all about that in just a few minutes here. All right. I do have to give a plug to our free AI toolkit resource. If you haven't checked it out, it's a flip book, totally free. You don't have to sign up for it. There's no ads or anything. It's a resource that my AI team here at MSBA put together. It's got all kinds of writing and videos and resources, and we update it. Eventually, recording of this will go in there as well. So please check that out. It's totally free and open to everybody. I mean, you can Google it and find it. So appreciate you checking that out and spreading the word. So we have three speakers who are going to talk today about how AI is impacting the school world. First up, we have Mary Shive from Fort Zumwalt. Then we're going to have Cynthia Allen from Warrensburg. That W threw me off. I was like, Warrensburg. And then we have Bob Klossmeyer, who is the director of K-12 safety, who's going to talk about some of the ways that schools are using AI to keep us all safer. All right. So Mary, you are up first. And whenever you're ready, feel free to share your screen.
Sounds good. So, like you said in the introduction, I'm an ELD specialist, and I've been working with ELD students for the past 11 years. So, I have experience in kindergarten through 12th grade. Right now, I'm only working with high school. But to be honest, when AI first started, I was very skeptical of it because I originally saw it as a way for students to find answers and basically plagiarize and cheat and get ahead on assignments. But now I see AI through a completely different lens, and it has been incredible for my students. I am going to send you the request to screen share. So those who have taught in the classroom, obviously, like our purpose isn't just to teach the curriculum, it's to make sure the kids are learning the curriculum. And with my background, as far as the students that I work with, they come from all over the place, from all different walks of life. Some of them are considered SLIFE, meaning they've had limited or interrupted formal education, and they're enrolling with me as a high schooler, but they don't have the prior knowledge that they need even in their primary language. And so last year, I was at a professional development and I learned about DFID, and I fell in love with it over the summer. It is absolutely incredible and secure for teachers and students because a lot of AI programs require students to have individual accounts, which we are not okay with in Zumwalt. We would rather it just be something created through a teacher account so that we don't give individual student identities in AI programs that we use. But what it does is it lets you differentiate and modify things for students literally in seconds. If it can modify anything, like if you are teaching something for biology and obviously the language is difficult, our students are having a hard time reading text for it, you're able to use DFID and it will modify the text to a simplified version. So the content is still the exact same, but the text is at a level that students with lower literacy can actually read. It changes everything from as low as second grade. So it doesn't modify reading to a kindergarten or first grade level. But if I have, for example, I can show you on my DFID account in just a second, some of the textbook readings for world history or US history, we have access to the PDF textbooks, and I'm able to take a PDF of a chapter and upload it to DFID, and it basically simplifies the text to the student's current reading level and also generates questions, slideshows, summarizing the reading, vocabulary, and it is just absolutely fantastic because previously teachers try to differentiate as much as possible, but when you're trying to differentiate for 25 different student groupings every single day, it's really difficult to have the time to differentiate it. And that's what DFID does. Like it literally is just a couple of clicks, and there you have it, the modified things that your students need in order to be able to understand what it is that they're learning in class. The benefit for me is that it doesn't just simplify the reading to the student's reading level, but I'm also able to translate it into dozens of different languages. So a lot of curriculum companies, they'll have like the English and Spanish versions of their textbooks, which is great. But what do you do when you have a student who speaks Punjabi or Arabic or Mandarin? Like, I can't just simplify things to Spanish when there are 107 languages used in Missouri. So it is absolutely fantastic with what it does. And the added bonus, if you're a district that uses Google to link your emails and communications and things like that, it automatically saves everything that you create in Diffit to your Google Drive. So even if you choose to not have an account anymore, you're still able to access the resources that you generated in your Google Drive. The other benefit is it is completely free for teachers. Teachers are able to sign up for it anytime they need to. And previously in November of this year, I did a professional development for our secondary teachers, both the ELs and the SPED teachers. And the SPED teachers fell in love with it. They use it now regularly in science, social studies, language arts. One of the really cool things that it also does is if you are doing a more engaging, interactive approach to something like using a video on YouTube, but you're trying to come up with questions or readings related to the video, all you do is put the YouTube link into Diffit and it automatically generates like a complete list of student resources and assignments that after watching the video, the students can read through the transcript of what the video was about, answer multiple choice or short answer questions, go through vocabulary. It is amazing. And everybody that I've told about it since I started using it, they have seen all of the benefits of it. One of the things that does make it slightly difficult, let me go a little bit further on here, but I'm going to put the link to the slides in the chat so you're able to access it if you want to. But where is it? Sorry. For the literacy part, you're able to choose the skill that you're focusing on for the literacy aspect, which is fantastic. It also lets you go through and select Missouri learning standards in creating your content. Like if I have a specific standard that my lesson has to apply to, it has the drop down where I select Missouri, I select the age or the grade level, and then I select the content area, and I'm able to click whatever standards it is that my content needs to apply to, and it generates it automatically, literally within seconds. So for the free version that all teachers can have access to, it gives you almost everything the premium version does, but it limits the PDF sizes that you're able to modify. So it limits it to 8,000 words instead of 40,000 words. You're also not given the custom vocabulary list. Instead, it generates what it feels like the vocabulary should be for you. But I'm going to show you my actual Diffit account so you can see some examples of what I've been able to make in it. And one of the cool things that it now does is you're able to take any book that you're having to read as part of ELA class. And when I have students who are supposed to be reading Romeo and Juliet, but they're not able to read at that reading level, I'm able to search for certain acts from Romeo and Juliet on Diffit, and it will produce a simplified reading level version of the exact same act. So the students don't feel like I can't do what the rest of the class is doing. Instead, they're doing it in a simplified version. But let me see. Oh, it didn't sign me in automatically.
I have a question in the chat from Jefferson that I'll ask you, Mary, while
Yes.
you're doing that. So you said they don't have to have individualized accounts. He said, without
Correct.
individualized accounts, would you need to set things up for particular students every time? Personally, I appreciate the protection of student privacy, though I'm curious how this will impact student need and particular modifications due to things like dyslexia.
That is a good question. I don't specifically know how it applies to dyslexia, but for example, let me scroll down in some of my resources, which I kind of made a few too many. But even when you upload something, like for example, this Great Gatsby chapter 1, right now it's set to reading level 11th grade. But when I click on it, I'm able to change the reading level down to 2nd grade, and it simplifies the summary. And I'm also able to customize the text length if I feel like it simplified it to 2nd grade, but I want it to be shorter. I can do short, medium, long, or custom and specify what length I want it. And then I'm also able to choose which language I want it in, which is crazy. Like, I know that they have never published Romeo and Juliet in Farsi or Norwegian, but it's just a cool way that the students are able to feel included and part of the curriculum that everybody is learning, but they're able to understand it in a different way. So, with one of the things that I had asked Diffit previously, I was curious if they were ever going to allow a text to speech option. And they said, as of right now, they do not have a text to speech option. But it's one of those things that I would be able, if I shared the document with the students, because I'm able to save it as a PDF or whatever, I can open Read Write on their computer and it can still be read aloud to them, which it makes it easier for them to know exactly what's going on and learn the content without having to have a different printed version or anything like that.
Have you played around with the on the right side there, the activities?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Are those adaptable by grade level the same way?
Yes. So when you change it, so I'm going to go to 2nd grade and click regenerate. And it literally obviously takes a few seconds. And then surprise, here's my 2nd grade version. And when I go to the student activities, you're able to choose how you want it. You're able to come up with a custom way that you want your student activities to generate. I typically, this is just me, always click on the basics. And then when you go to the basics, you can do interactive slides, slides for presenting, digital doc, printable doc, all that fun stuff. But when you click on it to get what it is that you want, and then you export, you can click or unclick any of the topics that you don't want to include or that you do want to include. And it makes it insanely easy. Like sometimes I don't need the title image. I want the adapted reading passage, but I might not want the summary. And then I click Get Activity and it'll say, how do you want it? Do you want it as Google Slides or Microsoft Word document? And it is just a fantastic way to make the content accessible to all of the kids. Because especially with how much districts pay for curriculum, I mean, it's like $400,000 for just world history. But I mean, we have 4 high schools, but granted, 100,000 per building for world history text is insanely expensive. But that doesn't cover the needs of all of my students. So I'm able to use DFID so that that same curriculum can be applied to my students' reading levels or my students' native language without them feeling like outcast. Like, I can't learn this because I wasn't here last year, or I can't learn this because I can't read at that level. Instead, I'm able to take what the district chooses for curriculum and gear it towards their literacy levels.
Mary, a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have to save, like, for example, if you were creating an adjustment or adaptive view of this poem or this document, do you have to save that to have a relationship to their IEP? So that way, if there is an adjustment in what you're presented to them or what they're being evaluated on, that you can have that for reference in case there's concerns or questions from the parents or in the counseling review?
Correct. Because with the DFID accounts, like, it automatically saves everything that you create. So you're able to access it again to be like, okay, it was at this reading level last time, but I should scale it back to this reading level instead. It makes it tricky because you're able to print it. And I even am having some of my language arts teachers use it for a couple of my students who they don't qualify for sheltered English with me anymore, but they still can't read at the same level that the general education students can. So for the IEPs, you can you give me a topic and I can search it for you?
I'm struggling to come up with one at the moment.
I know. Because it lets you even choose which standards you want it to align to. It does not do math, which that part is difficult, but language arts, history, and science are the 3 core curriculum standards that it focuses on.
I guess the reference I was making, the reference I was making is, so you just created, I saw the ones that you had created before, and you say it saves each one of the ones you generated. In some of the other AI tools, you can copy or share that saved search or that prompt that you generated. Do you then copy that into that student's IEP or into that student's reference, so that way you know where they and what specific prompts and details you captured for that student? So that way, again, like you were describing, if they need to go up or down, but even more importantly, that as you review this going forward, you'll have that for reference.
Yes, you can. So one of the things that you're able to do with it that's really cool is you're able to share everything you create to people that don't even have the DFID accounts. Like, there's a couple SPED teachers, because I CT SPED biology and Algebra 1, which Algebra 1 doesn't apply to DFID, but I'm able to share things with the SPED teacher that I CT with to be like, we can use this to focus on the current prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells that we're doing. And so it makes it easy for him to take the information and put it in his informational packets before, like, the IEP meetings of, this is what we focused on for this class, and this is what came of it. So the thing with, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. With the vocabulary, one part that I'm not happy about with DFID is that it doesn't come up with the images for you. It comes up with the definitions and the example sentences and things like that. But you have to add your own images to it, which that can be a pain to find the exact images that you want to apply to your vocabulary. But they said that they're working on figuring out how to get it to generate that differently so that it's not an additional thing that the staff has to do.
Another question in the chat. How do you balance meeting the students where they are while encouraging them to grow in their reading abilities?
That's a good question because with my high schoolers right now, one of the books that we're reading is Holes, which they voted on that one because I gave them 6 different novel options for the unit. And they use it because during class, we read through the book ourselves. We go through like the actual text because we have the books. But then for the DFID options, when they get the printed copy, they can have the printed copy, or I can put the PDF version on Canvas, but they're able to look through the summary and the simplified version of the chapters that we read before they answer the questions and do the open-ended responses and things like that. But it increases their confidence because they're able to feel like, okay, I used to not be able to read at all in English, and now I'm able to read this and know how to respond to the questions.
Jeff had a comment too. He said, and I agree, I'm surprised DFID wouldn't just use Google image search or something to generate
I know,
images.
yeah, because when I talked to them, I was like, it says that it will let you put images in, but that's kind of a pain to have to search for all of the images on your vocab slides. And they claim that they're trying to put something else in place so that it automatically generates that part. But we'll see how long that takes, which for the book examples that they do now, they did like a week-long trial for teachers, which I was part of the original trial that they did for it to see if they were including the right books and if they didn't have a book that your particular school uses. They said, let us know so we can add that to our library of books that we want to include with the book option. Because it lets you, for my Holes one, I do 3 chapters at a time per DFID resource. So it condenses them however you want them condensed. But I could also choose to do 1 chapter at a time or the entire book at a time, which I wouldn't do that because it wouldn't condense the text correctly when it's 42 chapters. So
Yeah, Jefferson said that I think this is for the best with copyright and safety issues that would be involved with AI and images, but I get it's a pain. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go from here with this. It's already got a lot of great abilities, but it's like they're going to keep building on it. So we'll see what they come up with.
They
Mary,
claim
have
that
you
they're
used,
also.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Have you used other tools like the App Magic School AI and
I
or
have used Magic School AI. I wasn't a big fan of it because I felt like it has a lot of images, which is great. But for high school, I didn't particularly like it because it felt like it's better for like middle school and elementary school.
I think that's the key, that finding the right tool for the right needs, as you've just outlined, I think is an important aspect. And I think Mark shared on our previous session back in January, some of those tools, introduction to those tools. And I'm finding this in my normal work life that there are so many AI. Everyone's trying to race to AI and the tools for it. Which one do you use for which situations and which ones are the best? I think that's the test.
Right. Yeah. Because I tried Magic School and it was fine, but not great. I know some of the teachers that I work with use Edpuzzle a lot, which is okay, but I don't know. It depends on which videos you're using for the Edpuzzle and how it generates the questions within the videos.
And there's so many options, and there's just going to be more and more coming. So it's a good problem to have. We have all these tools at our fingertips, but of course we have to figure out which ones are the best ones to use. So Mary put the link in the chat to her docs, to her presentation there. Thank you for that, Mary.
No problem.
All of this. Hopefully you'll stick around. I want to shift gears to our second speaker, Cynthia Allen, who is the EdTech Integration Specialist with Warrensburg. Warrensburg is on their second year of AI integration. She's going to share some of the story of where they're at, where they've come, where they're going. So take it away, Cynthia.
Hello. So, yes, we are in our full second year of being completely open to students and staff. And we've had a few hurdles, but we have managed to work through all of them. We finally did have to block character AI this school year. We started to have some student problems with that. But honest to goodness, that's probably been the only one specifically that we had to focus on and block. And we have been working forward with all of it, and our staff has done a great job. And, we do have a few issues of plagiarism, but we're going to have that no matter what. And so year 2 of this, we have asked our teachers to really focus on talking about ethical use of it and ethical use and responsible use of it. And honestly, I think that has been great, that there's been a lot of open conversation in the classroom. And really and truly, I feel as if that has been a good path for both the teachers and staff, because I also see the same conversations occurring at the University of Central Missouri, which is in our backyard, because I know some of the professors that teach there. And so the thing is that while it would be great to wait, we really cannot wait for years down the road. We have to teach how to use it ethically and responsibly. And we've focused a lot on that this year. So some of the things that we have, does anybody have questions about that? Because I know that's a pretty hot topic about allowing students to go ahead and use it.
How do you have an AI policy, or have you integrated it into other policies? How's it on that end?
So we do have a policy specific to AI, but we have also attached it to academic dishonesty and then, plagiarism and those types of things. So we do have a separate policy, but we also cover it with academic dishonesty as well. So,
Michael, did you have a question?
I was gonna ask the same thing about the policy, and then as it relates to discipline, we had the example that was shared before, that as students utilize it, how do you find that fine line of what is theirs and appropriate for their level and past performance compared to what was mostly generated by AI, and how the teacher's discretion can be used to say, is it really what they're looking for? Or are they just using AI to create their documents rather than having them generate it through the prompts?
We have honestly left that in our teachers' hands on how to manage it in their classroom. We have given them that control or that ability to decide and to have those conversations. We really have not been specific as to what the punishment would be if a student is using AI, because we have our teachers, we have given them tools to have those conversations with classrooms and the students in the classroom, and really that has worked for us.
Have you been able to tell, this is maybe a broad question for everyone, what the utilization rate by your teachers is?
Oh, I wish I had the statistics, because we use a lot of Magic School AI, and so they just gave me the analytics on it. And if I can pull it up real quick, I'll tell you, our teachers are using it consistently, which we were hoping that would occur.
Are you paying for Magic School for the district level, or?
Honest to goodness, I was 100% free, and we have been talking free versions of everything for the past 2 years. And we were we wanted to provide some additional safeguards at the elementary level. And the nice thing about Magic School AI is that they are student compliant all the way down to kindergarten. And you can put students in a classroom. So the teacher assigns a classroom for the students, and then the students are only able to use whatever AI tool that the teacher sets up. So if, let me share, hold on, I have a bunch of things going on here because I want you to be able to see, I think it's, yes, this one. And I can pull up, okay, let me see. Let me go to Magic School. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So if you go here to Magic School or Magic Student, I can create a new room up here. And then say I pick the grade level. In this case, again, I was talking about elementary. That's the number of students. Then I click next. Then say I want them to, maybe I want them to create a rap battle or an idea generator. So I just add it. Maybe I want to add that both of them, and I click next. And then I launch the room. And we are not at the point where we're sharing through Clever at this point, but you can share it to your students 3 different ways. And that was one of the features that I have to admit on the paid platform that I really liked, because while we're more comfortable at the 13 and up, we're still looking for some guardrails in our lower elementaries. And we really liked this piece for Magic School AI. And we have, I think we have 269, if I remember correctly, we have 269 of our staff members using it pretty consistently at this point. So that's just a little bit tidbit about Magic School AI, and that's one of the things that we're looking at because on the paid piece. And then I will tell you, so also on the administrative side, we have been trying to figure out ways to help our staff, and not only the students, but I wanted to share with you this. I don't know if anybody has seen the tool, Notebook LM. If you had not, we were talking about how this would be great for teachers when they have subs and you want to have a quality lesson. And this is great for especially your secondary, and because we can plug this right into Canvas. And so one of the things and this is actually a lesson that I helped a sub with. So you can upload up to 50 sources, and you could see that I put in a PowerPoint, and this was the PowerPoint that the sub had to work with. And then she also had some notes in the notebook that the teacher had left behind. And so I scanned them in, and as you could tell, the quality is not really all that good, and there's some handwritten notes, some annotations. And so it marries the 2 pieces together. And then if you go over here, you can create a podcast, and it'll be 2 speakers. And so it always starts out the same way, but I went ahead and loaded it for you because I want you to hear the podcast, and it's honestly engaging for the students.
Can't really hear it on our end. We hear a little bit. Probably coming through your mic, maybe.
So I don't know if you could hear that very well, but when it starts talking, it takes the information from the PowerPoint, and then at one point it references the handwritten notes. And so the students actually get a better lesson experience with a sub, and they're able to better stay on task with it. And so I have really enjoyed this source. And honestly, I've been telling this one, is an 18 and older usage. So it's limiting, but it, again, as our adults, as adults in our district, they could use this. But then I was also telling students that they can drop their school notes in. And so I'll show you this. My daughter, her name is Emma. She had a test and she dropped her notes in, and now she has an auditory piece to listen to while she is maybe cleaning her dorm or working out. And so we can also provide this to students as well that are auditory learners and need something besides just the visual PowerPoints or worksheets or different things like that. So this is really one of my favorite tools from a staff level point.
That's a free version that you've been using, and you could just share links if you need to, or does it play in your example that you gave? If you were the teacher that was absent, I'm the substitute. You just give me some PowerPoint and some of the handwritten notes. I would take this, put it into Notebook LM. It would create this podcast for me in which I would play for the class, in which they would have references to all the slides and the information. That's the premise that you've just described.
Correct. And so honestly, I can share the link to anybody. So this teacher, she wanted to do she put the Notebook LM podcast up. And so the students were listening to it, but she also had some slideshows up as well. And then she would play it, they'd stop and talk. And then she'd play further along in the story. And then they also referenced parts of the book. And then they would play more of the podcast. And so it does have a link that you can share, which is, let me go back. So there is a link to share it right up here. And so you could put that either in Canvas if you wanted to, or you could share it in Subnotes. Or our librarians typically help out with some of our subs, and so you could share it to them as well. But it is a shareable link.
I love Notebook LM. A couple questions, kind of talking on the chat back to district-wide. How do you control which AI programs they can and can't access? Like blocking them? And also, do you provide students with devices to use for these?
So we are one-to-one for our students, device-wise, and we truly have only blocked the ones that we've blocked character AI, but we have not blocked anything else at this point. And we use class-wise and line-wise. And
Anything
also
else you want to show us?
So I was just going to tell you, so on the Notebook LM, if you needed to, it does generate study guides and some questions, and then I did a mind map of it. I will also tell you, again, just trying to think of ways to help the school district as far as administrative needs. I would highly recommend people looking at this one. And I did a quick little, again, trying to find ways to help with subs and staff. I did this quick little piece down here because I wanted to have people update Chrome, but they don't always read the emails and they don't always listen to what you have to say. So you can upload, again, a PowerPoint or give very basic information, and you can generate your own avatar. And I'm only on the free version, but I didn't put the Warrensburg School District logo in here, and I can play this and so I won't play the whole thing for you. But again, if you're looking for other ways to engage students, and especially if you have to have a sub, I highly recommend looking into this. I think that I'll end up having to pay for this one just for me as an administrative type person. But there are some definite possibilities to it, and you can have your own avatar. You don't have to use a stock avatar. But again, it's just an engaging piece. And so I think that was beyond just the daily AI pieces that we've already seen. I really like Notebook LM, and I'm intrigued by this new piece here because I like the visuals.
Very cool. So you could have a Mrs. Allen
I can.
who talks to the class when you're not there.
Correct. Yes, I can do that.
That's awesome. And this one's called Synthesia. Is that how you say
It
that?
is. I think it's Synthesia. I believe that's what it was.
I didn't know about this one. I'll have to check this one out.
I've only been working with it about a week now. And I have really enjoyed working with it. And it's fairly intuitive and it's pretty easy to work with.
Very cool. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Cindy before we move on to our final speaker? Feel free to type them in the chat if you do. We appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. You are certainly at the top of not the mountain, but the path. You were right. You feel like you are light years ahead. That's awesome.
It's been a great journey. It has not been without problems. Our next goal is we're going to be in the classroom doing more digital, working with our students, and talking to them. And then we would really like to do a community outreach and talk to our parents and just explain to them a little bit about it. Not so much to talk policy, but to talk about what AI is and the ethical and responsible use of it, so that if there are concerns from a academic integrity piece, we will have at least talked to the community as well. And who knows, we might be using the Synthesia to put it out there as well, and not only just in a personal format.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So
work smarter, not harder, right? It's one of the
right.
beautiful things about AI. Well, thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
All right, our third speaker, final speaker, is Bob Klossmeyer, the Director of K-12 Safety. He's going to show us a different perspective on AI in schools and how it can be used to keep us all safe. Bob?
Thanks, Mark, and welcome everybody, and happy AI Friday. So I know Mark promised we wouldn't go past 5, so I'm going to make this a blur of a presentation here, just kind of quick. My background is background in military and then law enforcement, and then I was director of campus safety for Columbia College before I came on board in 2019 with MSBA and the Center for Education Safety. I was tasked then with creating an online tool to help school districts with creating their emergency operations plans. That is the foundation for all safety initiatives. So we work in school safety world. I spent the next year, 2 years working on that project, the year, and what we came up with was the MoEOP tool. Some of you might be familiar with that. I'll share my screen here and show you the logo here. So hopefully you can all see that. So the MoEOP tool, can you see that, Mark? Everybody see that? Okay. So the MoEOP tool, that's a tool we came up with when I built that. It's a great tool. It's an online tool with an actual, I actually put an EOP in that tool. I created an entire emergency operations plan template, put it in that tool, and it walks the district, that plan developer through the plan development step by step. But it's still a daunting process for anybody, especially in the education world, who doesn't have any experience in emergency operations planning. So just kind of quick summary on that. I'm working with the districts, helping them with their plans. I had added some guidance in there, just some basic language. It has boilerplate language, but they still needed to work through it and develop these plans that are specific to the school. And there was no way I could do that for each school. So I had made it very non-specific. So they had to work with their teams, create a lot of language in there that was emergency operations planning related. And that's very difficult, especially for your districts where that one person may have multiple jobs in addition to this. So we work with Therapy Log as we partnered with them on this tool as well as what we came up with next. And I challenged them with helping me create something that would provide that more in-person guidance, that more expert guidance. And we've worked on that, and the MoEOP tool has since evolved into what we are now calling K-12 safety. And I had this video created to our production team. Mike Hoke with production. I asked him, I said, make a video showing that, displaying that transition. And so he did that. I always like to play that when I get a chance. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to play it. So we came up with K-12 Safety. And this is the website for K-12 Safety. K-12 Safety is more than an EOP development tool. It covers your uh, children or students with special needs and your most vulnerable students if they have medical issues or special needs. But when we worked with the EOP development, I needed some kind of guidance and some kind of expert or way to gather expert information with less of a burden than what they had in going out and getting the teams together and trying to get that information together. So having to research and do all that, we've tried to find a way to do that. And with Mark and our AI team, we've been, encouraging schools to use AI, to utilize AI in a safe manner. And we thought, well, if we're gonna do that, we need to practice what we preach and put our money where our mouth is. So we decided to build this tool with an AI element, and I can show how that works here. So this is kind of the beginning where it starts with your plan development. It's a long, long plan, as you can tell. This is just the very first page. The EOPs tend to be 150 to 170 pages long, depending on the school district and how big that district is and what kind of issues they have to address. So as you can tell, that is a lot. This is one page, then you have a facility plan, then you have several annexes. Each school would have several annexes. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of work comes with this. So to be able to do this and create this plan that's specific to that school district and all the schools that are in that district, we added that AI element. And so here's an example. I included this boilerplate language. And again, I apologize, I'm making this very short and brief. So this is standard language for an EOP, Emergency Operations Plan. But how do we make this, specific to that school? So what we have is this is standard language, what I had. You can actually, the AI, it's a simple click button. You can say customize this for the district facility. It's the Acme High School Emergency Operation Plan. This is just very basic language. You customize it, it'll start thinking. You can actually show the initial text. This is the standard, the basic text. Eddie is our AI. We stayed with the Eddie AI as we did for our website. So Mark created that Eddie AI, and so here it adds, and it makes this more specific to the school district. It adds the language, which makes it Acme School District, and adds that special language in there. So all they have to do is they can save it and insert, and it adds it in there. So we can do that for every paragraph. They still need to go in there and add information if they feel it's necessary, so they can put it in there. They can actually review it and edit. They can add some details. Or if they don't like it, they revert back to what it was, and they can start again. Or they can free type with Eddie. And so you can show text, and you can ask Eddie to add something in there. So let's say enter a text that relates to the surrounding community. And so Eddie will start thinking and start putting that together. And here in a little bit, it takes a few seconds, but much faster than when it kind of helps give them that guidance. They're still going to need to work with their teams, get information together that's specific to each team member's discipline. But when it comes to adding this language in there that is specific to emergency operations for that district, the Eddie AI system really works well and is pretty amazing in what it can do. And we'll give it a couple minutes here. It usually is pretty quick, so it starts thinking and adds that language here pretty quickly. So taking a little longer than usual, but I tried it here a few minutes ago and it was a little bit faster. But it's thinking through it, adding, and it may be because I took away that language that was Acme School District. So we'll see what it comes up with. So if it takes too long, we can stop it. maybe I need to add that language. Let's go back to where we were.
Bob, is this a free,
Yes.
is K-12 Safety a free product, and or is there different version levels?
So there's a subscription cost to this. We are working with our schools to add that to be able to pay for this with a discount if they get on a certain period of time. And this we also have, because we have a element of this tool that has the SPED element, so it works with our children or students with special needs or that have medical issues. We can actually apply Medicaid reimbursement funds to pay for this. So those school districts that are used that are have get reimbursement through Medicaid, whether through the Medicaid consortium or they can actually apply those funds to this tool for that purpose of paying for the subscription. So in those cases, these schools will never see an invoice that actually can be covered through those Medicaid reimbursement funds. So we'll go to a functional annex here. You select an annex. Again, this purpose here, this annex here, we can make this customized for the district. And it will customize it. And then you can save and insert that. And it makes it specific to Acme. And then you can free type. You can show that text. Let's see if I didn't confuse Eddie. So it really does provide a lot of good information. The Eddie tool, we're new right now. We're doing the beta test phase. So whenever I get a hiccup on this, we got to get with the team and they fix it. But here it adds more language and it adds language where it collaborates with the local community. You can save and insert that, and then it puts it in that block there. And this becomes vital, like in these annexes, because the annexes are like, say, evacuations, shelter in place, things they need to do. They have roles and responsibilities. So when you have, let's say, during accounting for all persons, that's a role, that's a responsibility that takes place once an event occurs. We need to make sure we account for all the students and all the staff. And so during that accounting for all persons, when we need to identify those roles, well, for somebody who's developing these, they may have a little difficulty trying to identify those roles. And so you can actually ask Eddie to identify those roles, and they'll come up with these roles that are pretty common in terms of emergency operations for schools, and they'll put those roles in there. And then you can add that language to them. So in this case, here's these roles that it comes, and they're pretty, these are common for emergency operations in schools. Now, maybe some of these roles are not specific to that school, but it gives a role, and then it gives those actions they should take during that accounting for all students. And then you can actually add a role, ask Eddie, custodian.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that you could do this kind of thing with ChatGPT, but it's probably not going to be as accurate, and it's probably not as safe either. Whereas,
and I'm glad you brought that up. That's because of the lack of time and explain it all. But one of the things we want to make sure is that we have a safe AI, because you're adding information that is specific to the school and emergency operations, and you don't want that shared publicly. So our team built this AI themselves. And well, I should say that they took they took an enterprise version of ChatGPT, and they put it in here, and they created the information for that. So it learns, and they set it up so that it learns from national best practices, but it does not share any information that you put in there. It does not save that information. The information is saved in the document itself, but the AI element does not save it. This AI model does not save that information. So it is not shared anywhere. Any of the information put in there is not shared. If you utilize ChatGPT, that is not the case. All that information will be out there for the public to see, including some potential bad characters out there who might have some plans for the school. So we made sure this was secure. TherapyLock is also SOC 2 compliant, which is a cybersecurity level of being secure. So they have all those areas covered. And then there is no AI element used in the safe student planning or the emergency action planning, which covers those vulnerable students. We have not wanted to do that because of the concerns with HIPAA and other concerns. So we are not using the AI for anything other than EOP development. But it does also create, the AI element creates automatic generation of quick reference guides for each of these annexes. So it'll actually create a quick reference guide. That guide will be accessible to all teachers and staff. Any role in there will have access to that information in their mobile device or their laptop or their tablet, whatever they may have available. So if their emergency occurs, and of course, when that occurs, all of your memory goes away and they can actually look at their tablet or their device and actually pull up that information on their device so they can follow those steps they need to take to get those students to safety or whatever other actions they need to take. And so I'm going to kind of cut off there because of lack of time. But if your school is not already on the list, this button here on the website, it's k12safety.org, K12safety, all one word, .org. Get your school on the list for a demo, and we can provide that demo and talk about that pricing model and how they can apply Medicaid funds toward that pricing. And that way, because we're doing beta testing now, and we're hoping to be active by July 1st. And getting those emergency operation plans in place is important. And there's also a bill right now in front of the he passed the House. It's going to the Senate now that is going to require have a statutory requirement that all schools have emergency operations plans. So if that passes, it's required by DESE through MSIP 6, but if that passes and it's statutory, there'll be a little more enforcement on that. So this provides a great way of building those EOPs and reducing some of that burden on the staff that have to do that. So that was the quick and painful version of my AI. So
No, I appreciate it. I know we kind of ran out of time there, but
it's okay.
I think
That's
people got a
okay. I
good-
tried to stay within 5, but sorry, I'm a little bit late. But
You're okay. You're okay. No, I appreciate it. No, I think that's great. And if you have any questions too, feel free to reach out to Bob as well.
Absolutely.
He'd be
And
happy
you
to-
can get on the list and I'll be in touch with you, or you can send me an email or call me, whichever you want.
So it's, sometimes we talk about AI, we talk about cybersecurity dangers and things like that. It's nice to see that it can be used to protect us in school as well. So it's all
Yes.
about how you use it. So